Hi everyone, this is Greg from Paris, speaking to you about whiskies and sometimes other spirits and sometimes about music, and getting back to Ardnamurchan, the new Scottish distillery from the West Highlands, getting back to two bottlings that I did try about sort of more than 7 months ago for one of the two, and for the second bottle, the Cask Strength, a bit less because I tried it in another presentation, which I will come shortly why I'm saying this, and I will compare it to a High Coast, which is Swedish and not Scottish, but there's a reason for that. First reason is that those three whiskies, two Ardnamurchan Scottish Single Malt and one High Coast Swedish Single Malt, they all belong to the same company, which is Adelphi, the independent bottler. Okay, so I will try the AD 042103 03, and then I will try this AD 02.22, then I will try that 8 years old High Coast Cask Strength, the two last being heavily peated, the first being lightly peated. I will also give you a glimpse of a future video only about High Coast, an official bottling this time. And I will retry the AD 0222 after the High Coast in order to try to recreate the conditions I try this whiskey at first, because there's a slight issue about this, about all this, and I will explain why. Now, quick intro among all the topics that are that I'm late, that I have to delay. You're gonna see a Glencadam rundown, overview, call it how you want. As soon as I can. I know I'm late for a lot of things. You're gonna see a Bruichladdich PC Octomore as well. You're gonna see a Bunnahabhain. You're gonna see a Caol Ila. I really want to do a Caol Ila one. I'm just missing one or two bottlings I'd like to have for that, or at least samples. Lots of others. Miyagi-Kyo, I'm late to do the same overview I did for Yoichi. Also some blended whiskies coming in, and also some other live shows with guests. So yeah, bear with me, please be patient, and I'll try to bring you new content. Right, that said, let's go to the tasting. Yeah, no, I forgot. In my first video about Ardnamurchan, there was within a channel news one, I did explain already the context of this distillery, but as you might not have seen that one, I will just say a few words about Ardnamurchan, which is, and I forgot the map, it's too late now, I can't move with this. Yeah, so it's West Highlands, so if you see Fort William, Ben Nevis, it's in west, around 90 kilometers, they say. Here in that Malt Whisky Yearbook, where I'm honored to figure, or at least my whiskey. Here's Ardnamurchan. So yeah, close to Fort William. It's north of Mull, the Isle of Mull. You will find the details about the distillery at page 166. It's in Glenbeg. It was founded in 2014. I had some people tell me 2013. The idea to build the distillery to supply more whiskies to Adelphi, independent bottling company, merged in 2007. But it took some time. What can I say else? First Spirit, yeah, was distilled in 2014, and in October 2020 the inaugural single malt was released, and the inaugural single malt, the AD 092001, I tried it, and I tried it in a restaurant specialized in whiskey and food pairings, and I was blown away. It's such a beautiful and super balanced whiskey, and that did indicate me, it was in 2021, that this really had to be coming soon a great distillery, because the potential was very high. The work of the blender also, not only the production but also the because they're small batches most of the time, the work they do there is remarkable, and it's more interesting for me than many other new distilleries. I will come back to that in French and in English later on in another video. So that's why I understand it gets such praise from different people, and also from some award systems, or what else did I wanted to say? Yeah, it's one of the greenest, along with Nichnine and a few others. As they say, I have the website here because I don't want to mistake. In English it's a bit complicated for me to speak about green energy and stuff, and even in French. So they say that unique case in the whiskey industry, all the power and heat requirements for the Ardnamurchan distillery come from local renewables. The river that provides the distillery cooling water has a hydroelectricity generator, and the biomass boiler is fueled by wood chip from local forestry. The overall footprint of the distillery is a light one. Now, that said, I have to say, update this, and to be, as I understand, it's what they say, of course, but I understand the Nichnine is a greener one because it's zero footprint. It's not light one, as they say here. But to be 100% honest, and there's no double talk here, to get wood chips you have to deforest, and even if you plant trees it will take some time. So personally, I'm sorry guys for all these new distilleries, you're not 100% green in my opinion. You're very close to that, but you're not, because you have to deforest, even if it's not massive, of course. Okay, that is said. It might unplease some, but it's my opinion. So I think you get the picture. The capacity, forgot to say, they have a semi-lauter mash tun, which has a copper canopy on it, which is rare. Fermentation time is quite long. It's the trend with the new distilleries, I think. It is stayed from 72 to 96 hours. They have 2 wash stills. Capacity is 10,000 liters for the wash still, so quite big, and 6,000 liters for the spirit still. The malt, the barley is malted, and for some is peated, some is unpeated, and they often use a mix of the two. For the lightly peated, it's 30 to 35 ppm. We're getting in a Colilla level, just to let you know. So a bit over Bowmore and a bit under Lefroy and Lagavulin, and even way under Ardbeg and Port Charlotte, Octomore. Well, it's complicated. I don't want to jump again on that argue about the ppm. I spoke about it in a recent chat of a live show, and I explained to those who wanted to hear, but not everyone wants to hear that the ppm stated often by the producer is the ppm when they malt. When they hit the malt with peat smoke, so when almost first step of the process, I mean after steeping the barley, so it is not the one that is at the end of the process, after brewing, after fermenting, after distilling, and after aging. And there have been studies about that, and I was even told by a producer that it gets around, you have to divide by 3 the ppm that you are given as the entry ppm of your malt, something around 3 or 4. So when a distillery states they do have over 100 ppm whiskey at the end of the day, at the end of the process, it is not that. It is way lower. Now, that doesn't mean it cannot come across as harsh, as very hefty smoke and peat, but the numbers are a bit misleading in my opinion, so I would be for regulations by the SWA to oblige distilleries to state the final ppm rate when they do state the initial one. So please, distilleries, personal request, if you state the initial ppm level, please state the final one, so we're not misled by the numbers, right? Okay, enough of that rambling / rant. Right, let's get to the tasting of this, which I really enjoyed. But before we get into that, and before I forgot, because last time I talked about Ardnamurchan, I forgot, there's something that's quite trendy in the back label. Yeah, it's imported, it's a stamp of to explain who imports it in France, because I live in France. There's a QR code, so it's a blockchain whiskey. The QR code leads you to this kind of page. This one is for the... No, this one is for the Cask Strength, but never mind. This leads to this kind of page, so you can see it's bottle 222 out of 1286. Then what's happening is, and yeah, there's the Cask Strength comes with a beautiful paper, which when you deploy it, you have the peninsula, and you have the nice map. But yeah, when you open this blockchain, you have the disclose of all the cask. So started by the unpeated and then the peated. So there's two pages. It's not, I mean, you're not going to read that, but it's just to let you know. They disclose all the casks that are on the batch, and they also explain, not in that one, but in the other one, if I can find it. Yeah, I printed the other as well. Just a sec. Unprepared, Greg, as always, some would say. There's always something you forgot when you're doing your, at least me, I know, my presentation. Yeah, there you go. So this was, yeah, it's Antonia when she did a masterclass as the Whisky Shop Paris in March. So I wanted to have a souvenir. So this is for this whiskey exactly. Let me. So this is the disclosing for this whiskey, and what's interesting is the definitions they give here for the different kind of cask they use. And so they use American Standard Barrel, they use HHD stands for Hogshead, ASB for American Standard Barrel, SPPX for Spanish Oak Pedro Jimenez, so Sherry, SPOL Spanish Oak Oloroso, but USOL American Oak Oloroso. And they say retain AD Solera 1,118 liters of alcohol. So it's crazy. Right, you get the picture now. So when you go online, you're gonna find link to the blockchain, something quite detailed about the cask. They don't disclose though the first fill, refill, what number of fills, etc. But you have also other pages I can show you now online that explains to you the person who is in charge of every step of the process. So they name the person, fermentation hours, etc. Almost everything about your special whiskey. Talking about the whiskey, there you have it. Again, it's hard to have the viscosity here. The legs and tears, they don't stay a lot because it's a young whiskey. I'm gonna disclose you what it is. I didn't cap them because I had some issues with how they breathe or not. Before I forget, what did I forget? Yeah, the disclosing of the, I'm gonna tell you this. Yeah, I have all this, and this is a summary for you of what's inside. So it's a 2021 release, as you can see if there's not too much reflections. It's a third of the, if I'm not mistaken, it's the third release of April 21. I hope it's not the contrary, otherwise it would be March 21 and the fourth release. I'm struggling with that. Sorry. So in that whiskey there's 43 casks brought together. So it's a single malt, but it's a work of blending also. There's 23 casks unpeated. Among them 17 are unpeated American standard barrel, so bourbon barrel. 6 are Spanish oak sherry cask, but PX, Pedro Jimenez. Among the peated ones, you have 20 casks, and among the 20, 13 are American standard barrel. 5 are Spanish oak Oloroso sherry, and 2 are American oak Oloroso sherry. The ratio is around 60% bourbon and 35% sherry for this whiskey. And it's different for the Cask Strength. Okay, now into the whiskey. So yeah, quite some viscosity, because I forgot to say it's non-chilled, filtered, non-colored, of course, as almost every new craft distillery in Scotland. Might be some exceptions, but as far as I know, they all trying to do the best they can. And now on the nose. And I'm gonna take my sheet in case I forgot some things. So this is amazing because it's one of the most well balanced and complex new whiskey I've come across so far. And despite it's not in Isle of Skye, there's a few reminiscent things of some very quiet Taliskers in there on the nose, as well as maybe some Lecheg, but indie ones and bourbon ones. So the smoke is gentle. You have this beautiful maritime but discreet elements. That's why I'm talking also about Talisker. So kind of sea spray. There's not much iodine, much seaweed, stuff like that. It's very, very subdued. You have some salt. What did I find also? Yeah, the floral, the fruitiness is quite remarkable. The citrus fruit, some slight grapefruit. It's on all this is on the bed of soft, discreet vanilla as well. And despite it's bourbon and sherry, that's right. So there's a slight, it's the majority that comes across is bourbon, but there's some juiciness and fruitiness coming on from the sherry cask, which gives a tiny cranberry note, which I find remarkable. Yeah, it's a whiskey that needs time in the glass, that needs time in the to assess as well. Might have tried it 6-7 times on Hint of not linseed oil, Hessian maybe. There's something really nice, some slightly oily, almost oriental feel. I cannot really say what it is. Maybe some leather, some slight oak as well. A hint of orange, but maybe also apricot, I don't know. There's some honey note coming across now the more it oxygenates. The nose is remarkable, I have to say. So let's go to the palate now. Oh, so beautiful. All the notes I told you on the nose are there. ABV is perfect, almost 47, 46.8, absolutely perfect. There's more fruitiness, there's more sherry influence on the palate than on the nose, but gives some kind of creamy ensemble of flavors going through some maltiness, but also some creaminess of the vanilla, of like if you had a few red fruits and all the some dried fruits of all kinds, and this is wrapped in a kind of custard cream. Well, maybe not as sharp as in the Cotswolds bourbon cask, but there's something that's similar to that, but there's an oiliness and something that's special to this distillery that's inevitably Scottish, I would say, and also West Coast. I would be curious to see a blend of this with Ben Nevis, for instance. It would be very interesting, even if Ben Nevis is more into the inside. I mean, it's a mountain, even it's close to a mountain, so it's less coastal, if I may say, but yeah, there's some dried fruits. There's some flowers, not necessarily heady flowers, but there's some which are dried, others was fresh. I have a beautiful note of quince jelly, which is a bit mixed with some acacia honey. Got some fresh oak, but absolutely not sawdust, which I don't like in a scotch. I can tolerate in a rum or bourbon, but not in a scotch. Something I cannot read from my own as often. Oh yeah, that's right. There's a slight exotic feel, but it's tiny, right? So the pineapple, banana, not really. What did I write else? Yeah, coconut and pineapple, but it's very much on the background. But there's some complexity in the floral and fruity notes. I would say. So quite beautiful with yeah, there's a bit of green elements as well. There's some hay. It's not farmy, it's not Port Charlotte. It will go towards some maybe indie bottlings of Talisker, of indie bottlings of Lecheg. But it has something on its own as well. I'm gonna try it now with a few drops of water and move to the other version, which has a different recipe. This is really a bottle I do enjoy. I do find quite remarkable. I haven't tried, except the inaugural one, I have to say, I haven't tried other batches. Opinions are quite divided about other batches. Some say it's remarkable, some others say it's too young and tasty. I don't know. I have to try others, but it's not easy to come across this. Forgot to speak about the price. Kudos to Adelphi and Ardnamurchan for bringing this around 50 or so. 65, okay, it was a Whisky Shop Paris. It might be a bit expensive sometime, but I know some can get it around 55 or in UK, and it's quite reasonable for such a work for me. Something like 5, 6, almost 7 years old juice in there. Okay, with a few drops of water. Such a charming whiskey. So much charm, elegance, balance, complexity. It's all we're looking for, and sometimes we don't get at 12 years old, right? So big time of blending work there. So kudos to the person who did that. Yeah, I really like that. There's some smoke coming in, still super balanced. There's no note that overpowers the other. At the beginning it was a bit slightly too oaky for me, but it really went quite well after the neck pour, and when it was at that level. Remarkable whiskey, I have to say. And you might be surprised, and you'll be also surprised after the second. I confirm the note, the rating for me. It really deserves a 92 out of 100. Yes, 92 out of 100, no less. Started at 91, but it really deserves this because it is super well made and super balanced for me, right? We take some water and we're gonna go to the second one that it's a bit more problematic for me. We'll see how it evolves. And there's a slight story that I'm not super happy with. Yeah, I forgot to say that this comes with a box, which I had to mend a bit because it's quite fragile. It's recycled paper. Oh yeah, it was, thanks Antonia, Bruce. It was signed for me. I was very cool. I bought that at the Masterclass. Nice map. At the Masterclass, I went, and in March 2022. And we're gonna move to this one, which people talk a lot at the moment, but I waited a bit before I give my say because I had to see how it do evolve. This is not, if you've seen, this is not in the official packaging. It comes like I showed you with some nice paper, protection paper. I did a quite quick thing. It's not very sophisticated. There's I added this picture of the still room. I really have to visit there. And yeah, these are, I copied that from the blockchain pages, so you can have some infos there. See? So all these are, it's a remarkable disclosing work at the website, I have to say. What did I want to say about this one is that we tried it along with, so in March at the Whisky Shop Paris, we tried first the previous Ardnamurchan I told you. Then we tried some Adelphi's Delwyn, 14 years old, Linkwood, 11 years old, Ben Rinnes, 10 years old. Then we had the High Coast, and then we had this Ardnamurchan. Now, the advanced sample was bottled, but it was not an official bottling, at 59.2 ABV. For that whiskey, I'm gonna tell you the disclosing of casks quickly. I mean, a summary. It is heavily peated, so it's a difference. There's a high ABV and heavily peated. So we went from 59.2 to 58.7, and the impression I have, of course, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, after 5 whiskeys, the impression I have about that one, it was super balanced, super gourmet, super efficient, and beautiful whiskey. I didn't found this impression when I managed to get me a bottle. I never find exactly the same impression, so we'll see how it goes today. I wonder at some point it was another cask. They told me it was this batch. They told me it was the same batch. There's sometimes difference when they disgorge the cask and when they just bottle the sample for demonstration and tasting purposes. Okay, I'm okay to believe you, but why the experience is so different? So what I'm gonna try to recreate today is I'm gonna try this on its own, and then I'm gonna try it after the High Coast I tried at the show. Considering I will do a longer review about the 4 High Coast I have. But yeah, I wanna discover why this is so different and so much less exciting so far. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's less exciting than at the Masterclass, and I'm a bit I don't understand why, really. So okay, for that one, disclosing of the cask is 50 cask instead of 43. The ratio between peated and unpeated is 40 to 50. I mean, majority is heavily peated, as I understand it. Yeah, I forgot to say it's concerto barley. Yeah, you've seen the box I've made after a telescope box, by the way. There's among the cask there are 3 unpeated sherry hogsheads. There are 40% of American Standard barrel. The 5 casks that are unpeated bourbon casks, 2 hogsheads unpeated as well, and 2 unpeated sherry casks too. I could disclose that in details. That's too far now. But yeah, you have to see that. So yeah, vast majority is peated casks, and quite a minority of unpeated, and the minority are unsherried. Well, I'd say it's half bourbon and sherry on the unpeated side. They even disclose the cask number, by the way, so quite interesting. Okay, let's go now. Forgot to say, when you go Cask Strength, the label is black with kind of golden letters and white characters. So this one also, as you can see, has a blockchain system. This was around 80, something like 70 to 80 euros. I mean, so it's a 2022 release. What else can I say? Let's try it, because getting more time than I wanted for this review. So now, I don't know if you can see it, but it's bold. I mean, the legs are really sticking to the glass. It's higher ABV. The age, it's around where did I wrote that? It's a bit older, I think, and I forgot to write it, but it's 2014, 2015. It was what, yeah. So maybe it goes over 6 years old for this. There's more proportion going 6 years old plus than in the other, but it's only 1 year difference. Okay, on the nose. On the nose, this is quite balanced as well. Of course, there's a bit of more smoke. You have some citrus fruit. It's maritime, but it comes across less maritime because of the heavily peated casks. Yeah, some dark chocolate. I've noted some glazed sugar, some half grassy, half dry peat. Some vanilla. What else? I'm sorry, I really struggle sometimes to read myself. Anyway. Yeah, so salty elements. I'm also crushing a bit with some dark chocolate elements. There's still this beautiful trademark house style, which is something honeyed, vanilla, almost waxy. And there's a nice combo of fruits behind it, all kinds, orchard and candied, and also some in, forgot to say for the other, you know, when you get a can, metal can with some fruits, all kinds of fruits that are cut and put into a syrup, sugar syrup, so it doesn't come across as sugary, mind you. Okay, let's go on the palate, which was the biggest issue. The two first time I tried this, not really the last time, so I hope it'll progresses. It has to continue to open up anyway. Okay, it gets better. Good, I'm happy about that. Okay, first two tastings of this, it was super aggressive on pepper, black pepper, with even the peppercorn. I mean, you could feel the pepper was dominating. It was really an issue for me. It made me put a very low score. No, not very low, but a lower score than the other one. While I preferred that one at the show, at the shop Masterclass. So I was very worried. Did I do well by this bottle? And in the beginning, I answered no. But it starts to open very nicely. The previous time I tried it off cam, it was nice. So I have good expectation for the. So for this one, I'm not gonna give you a definitive rating. I'm sorry, because I feel it's still evolving. But let's take another sip before modifying the latest rating. That glazed sugar is remarkable. But still, I'm sorry, there's something missing. Beauty-wise, compared to the reduced version. I will modify a bit the rating, though. It's hard to score. It's quite hard to score, to be honest. Let's see if it changes with a few drops, just tiny drops, because I'm gonna try it after the high cost to see what's going on. So just a tiny one. Okay, water brings more of the pepper, more of the, it warms the palate, it really invades the palate with black pepper. It's not chili as some 19 depends the batches, but some 1990s Taliskers were quite chili pepperish and very powerful. So it's not like that, but it's just under. I still have the sting of the pepper on my tongue. So you have to like black pepper to enjoy this version. So bring some soy wax. It brings some wax element. It brings some hay, a bit more hay. Comes across a bit more sharp, a bit more less rounded, more younger, paradoxally, than the other whiskey, the AD compared to that one. But it's very good. It's still very good. Okay, so I will precise my scoring after I will try the High Coast. So bear with me after the High Coast for my final thoughts. So what are we going to drink now? We're going to drink an Adelphi bottling. And believe me, it's getting rare. And when I saw they did bottle, so this is the box. When I saw they did bottle a High Coast, they even did a Sanderborg, which is a mix, a blended malt, a mix between High Coast and Ardnamurchan, alas I couldn't try it or get it. So this is a single cask. So now we're on to, where is it? We're on to Cask 397. Yeah, it's written very tiny, so you wouldn't be able to read it. It was distilled in 2012, bottled in 2021. Price at the whiskey shop was very hefty. I hesitated, but it was for me the most beautiful of the flight, along with the Ardnamurchans. So I did bought it for 131 euros. Oh my god. I don't do that often, but it was worth the price, I think. It's also because I like a lot this distillery, I have to say. A distillery founded in 2010 in Sweden. It was in an old farm. It was way older than that. The first expressions came across as under the name of Box whiskey. Then they had to change it because there was an argue with Compass Box. I will explain you more about this distillery when I will do the overview of my 4 whiskies. This is one, and this is another one. This is a Timmer. This is a slightly smoky version. This is beautiful whiskey with a great value. I really recommend. And I also have, among others, the Dalve, which have a light sherry finish. So these are the official bottlings, and we have an indie bottling here. Right. So great, beautiful distillery. And this is a whiskey, again, non-chill filtered, non-colored, so and Cask Strength. So the legs are not sticking a lot. It's very weird. It is not super fat visually, but believe me, on the palate it delivers. So let's go on the nose. Yeah, it has some similarities with the, to be honest, with the Ardnamurchan style. On the discreet maritime and discreet floral fruity profile on a bed of vanilla. I forgot to say it's first fill bourbon. Yes, entire single cask, so it's first fill bourbon cask, as you can see. Maybe, yeah, some beautiful vanilla, some citrus fruit, it's almost exotic. The nice esters, of course. First fill bourbon means you have a lot of esters, so usually esters come across on as flavor wise as English licorice, all sorts, pineapple, pear, what else, maybe some quince as well, also some a bit heady florals, but more, let's say, on not sure, I will not say, we'll see, lilac maybe, iris maybe. You gotta have more sherry to have some lily in the valley, for instance, typically. Yeah, and the more it opens up, I let it in purpose not capped, and the more it gets seductive on the honeyed smoky style on the nose. Okay, on the palate at 62.3. Oh my god. And I forgot to say skill to my friends over to Sweden. This is a bit simple, I reckon, but it's so well done, so much well done. It doesn't really come across as 62.3. I mean, comes across as 52 maybe. It's super serene malt, super well made. There's thickness on the palate, but it finishes a bit drying, but not as much, let's say, as, for instance, the Cotswold bourbon cask, and not as it's almost not spicy. So it's a weird contrast, and I understand, maybe now we'll see why the AD 22 comes across. I'm gonna pour a bit more so we don't have the dilution effect. Yeah, I think it would be enough, because I'm gonna try it after the I'm gonna retry gonna retry this after this to recreate the conditions in which I tried. But for now, we're still with this, and we have a lot of smoke. Now, to give you in comparison, this one stands between heavily peated Lecheg and Port Charlotte high strength, which will not get some complex recipe of casks. So I don't know which one, to be honest, because they're always a complicated recipe in Port Charlotte, but or let's say it would be somewhere between I don't like the idea, but high strength Holila and high strength Lecheg maybe, but this one has his own style. It's hard to describe. There's also some cereal, some malt coming across. There's a extinguished chimney in a room. So you enter the room, and 1 hour before the chimney fire was stopped, but you still have this embers, this bonfire feeling in the room. But while there's no sherry in it, it's not like Ben Romach, for instance. So we'll come across more like 100% bourbon Lecheg, or not Kilchoman either. It's a different take. It's less floral, less hay. But yeah, I'm gonna try it again, and then with water. Yes, not super complicated, but super efficient. Slightly spicy at the end, so kind of ginger. Stay discreet. Getting a bit ashy as well. Cask. Yeah, some more spices coming in now. Sometimes the water excites the ginger and the oakiness in the cask, so you gotta be careful. Yeah, it also has now a not peppery but spicy feel. Oak spice, slightly different from the Ardnamurchan, which I would more say it's a spirit spice, if I may say. Yeah, so quite nice whiskey. Will I maintain my note? Maybe not. On the balance, I will lose half a point. It's difficult. Okay, I gotta be honest, so as always, 0.5. Yeah, it loses a point, so I have to rate it now 91. So you see what's very interesting in there is that a whiskey with a lower ABV, such as this one, if it's well made, it can beat the 2 cask strengths we have there. See, at least in my opinion, which is also a blender's point of view, mind you, to try to get the best recipe to highlight the spirit. It's I mean, my duty, if I may say, as a blender. So we're getting back, going to finish the review. It's a very long, I apologize, I will put timestamps, but if you want to go in depth into something, you have to take time. I'm sorry. 1 minute video is cool, but you cannot go into deep things if you don't spend some time. So getting back to this one, and I should have not rinsed my palate. I did rinse it with a small bottle, but I want to see the influence of the previous on this to see if I can get the experience back. Yeah, I see. Okay. So what happened is that during that tasting, the multiplication of the drams, 6 in total, but 5 before that one, made this whiskey get more layers of flavors that it actually has, in my opinion. But that said, it doesn't mean at all it's bad. It's a very good whiskey. And I'm gonna retry it now with the water and see if I change the rating, which I'm almost sure, because I felt it already. Yeah, I have the correct one. And I wanted to say a big thanks to Antonia, who welcomed us very well at the Whisky Shop Paris in March, and also to Guillaume, who helped me get this. So I'm not going to come across, I don't want to come across as not being cool with that. Oh, the glazed sugar on the nose gets really charming, exciting there. On the nose, this is a more complex whiskey, also because it's not a single cask, mind you. I would really love to see the high cost 8 years old, as a multi-cask recipe, let's say 2030, to see what's going on, if we get the same complexity as here. Just saying. I have to visit Ardnamurchan and High Coast, that's for sure. The blender in me is very excited with those distillery, I have to say. As I am for Cotswolds, if you want to know exactly my thoughts, as I'm from Glencadam, I see where I have the whiskies for Kilchoman, what else? French distilleries as well, but to stay international, yeah, Balblair, but Balblair is something else. I went there, so I'm biased maybe. Okay, let's go. There's more complexity than I thought, but yet it's still quite going in the same direction, let's say. Just a second, have to pause to calculate the rating. Okay, I will be 100% honest, despite I like the distillery, despite I like the people I met from the Adelphi company, despite I'm super positive about this brand, I have to be 100% honest. From where we are now at the level of this bottle, I see a slight issue of balance, and water or not, there's still some oak coming across more loudly than in the other, in the first one I tried here with you. So this is a bit contradicting the positive things in the whiskey. So it's still, mind you, every whiskey over, do I have the scale here? I want to be very clear about my rating and not to make you think I don't like this whiskey, or I don't found this is an interesting whiskey. Let's see if I can find it. Just a second, I should have paused again. Oh God, when I will be 100% well prepared. I need a secretary, maybe. Okay, forget about that. You have to go on my website to see my scale. Well, let's say anything over 83, 85, 86 is interesting. Is good. I mean, this one gets an 89.5, 89,5 in French, out of 100. It doesn't get to 90, almost, and it doesn't get to the 92 this bottles has, because I think it is slightly less balanced and slightly less complex as well. But at the end of the day, 89.5 is still, I believe, a good rating for a whiskey, for this whiskey. So for those saying it's the whiskey of the year, blah blah blah, I don't agree. I just have to disagree with that. Just my opinion. This is a matter of comparisons, of course. I will be very curious of what the distillery will bring in the future. I'm super excited. Not sure I'm gonna come across a bottle of the Madeira release, which I'm a sucker for Madeira finishes. You know that. But yeah, here are my thoughts. Now, what I can promise to you is, if this bottle does evolve differently and better, and it gets better and better, I will come back to to you on video and speak about that, right? Okay, 1 hour, my god, sorry. I thought I will go 30 minutes, but I can't. Thank you very much for watching. Hope it was interesting at least, and see you soon.